Hello, do you have a device or devices you wish could log information to a single place over the internet? Today we're going to walk through how to create a Google Sheet and submit information to it over the internet without using any APIs or special authentication. This works by creating a Google form and linking to a Google Sheet, then mimicking the form submission process. I use this technique to log events from my smart devices just for fun. The first thing we're going to do is create a Google Sheet. This is where the form data will be stored once it is submitted. Doesn't really matter what you call it, just call it logger. That's as much work as we need to do to get it set up. Next, we're going to create a form. Call the form logger. And we're going to create form fields for the type of data that we want to capture. Set it to paragraph. Let's say we have 3 fields we want to capture at any given time. Say we have the IP address of the device, device name, and temperature. Now we've created this form. We're going to link it to the Google Sheet we just created. Go to Responses, Overflow menu, select Response Destination, Existing Spreadsheet, and we're going to select the sheet we just created. If we go look at that sheet, you'll see there's now a new tab called Form Responses with the IP address, device name, and temperature fields we just defined in that form. And it has a timestamp field so that it will automatically capture the date and time when a form response is accepted. We're going to submit this information mimicking the form response submission process. So what we're going to do is preview the form. This is how, if you were going to fill it out manually, it would look, but we need to capture several things from here. I'm going to right click, inspect. Now we see all the HTML. We're going to look for the individual form IDs for each field. Control F, search for entry, dot. And you'll see here, there's 4 pieces of information we need to capture. We need to capture this form action URL, which has the ID and ends with form response. And double click, copy that. We're going to go over to this Google Colab that I have set up. We're going to use this form response URL. This is where we're going to send information. Capture that. Then for each field is a corresponding entry ID in the order that these forms show up, form fields show up on the form. Double click, copy. I've created a dictionary here just to keep these a little bit user friendly. Doesn't matter if you do it the same way I'm doing it. Just doing this so that we know how to capture and submit the information. Last one. So let's say we have a record we want to submit over the internet. We have the IP address of it on our local network, the device name or where it's located, and let's say the temperature it's detected. And we want to send this to the form. All I did here was make the field names a little easier to work with, but in the end, you need to pair the form ID, field ID, with the value that you want to submit to it. This is what we're going to submit. If you're familiar with the requests library in Python, we're going to do a post to the endpoint we just defined with the data we just constructed, which is key value. can see this is where we sent the form response, and these are the URL encoded values. This is the ID of the field. This is the value that we just sent it. Again, ID, value. Let's look at the logger and see if we were successful. We can see here it captured the timestamp when we submitted it, the value of the IP address, device name, and temperature. This also works if we do a GET request using parameters instead of form submitting with a request body. The difference is basically irrelevant. The URL library does the same thing. All it does is URL encode key value pairs from a dictionary. So again, key value. Now, if you're not using the request library or you don't want to, you can do the same thing with curl. Here, you would use, since I'm in a Colab notebook, we have to start Linux commands with an exclamation point. If you're setting this up in a bash script or some cron job or something, you just use a regular curl command. The URL you want to send information to, you're defining data, which have this URL encoded here. We're going to copy this. You'd have to encode this for yourself each time. And let's submit that. Let's look. Oops. Here we go. We've done it again. And we'll do the same thing here using wget. Those are 3 separate methods for submitting the information. No authentication required. It's just mimicking how you would respond to a form over the internet. Now, if you want, we can see how it responds to submitting lots of different information pretty quickly. It's no problem at all. We'll just randomize some choices here, and we'll do 20 batches. It's going to randomly pick some temperatures, some devices, and their corresponding IP addresses. And we'll just have it print this out, and we can watch in real time as these are submitted and show up in the sheet. As many as you want, as fast as you send it. That's it. Now we know how to construct a Google Sheet, set up a form to accept form responses, and programmatically send information to those sheets. I'm going to post the form address in the notes section underneath this video. Feel free to blast away at that form. I will make it public, and you will be able to see anything that someone else has submitted if you're interested. Enjoy.